I never thought I'd find myself here standing in the aftermath of my own broken trust, watching the pieces of my life shatter and wondering if I'd ever be able to pick them up again. But the real question wasn't whether I could move on, it was whether I'd be strong enough to walk away from a toxic relationship when everything in me was screaming to stay. It started with the typical red flags, the late nights, the guarded phone, and the gut-wrenching suspicion that something wasn't right. I wanted to believe I was just being paranoid. But when I finally walked in on her and him in our bed, the bed I built, the bed we planned our future on, everything changed. I didn't just leave her. I destroyed the life she tried to build at my expense. I erased her from my world in ways she never expected, and as the dust settled, I realized one thing: I had to keep moving forward. What's crazy is, in the end, it wasn't about revenge. It was about reclaiming my life, about remembering who I was before her, and remembering that sometimes, walking away is the only way to move forward. I just want to take a moment to sincerely thank all of you who followed along with my story. It's been a wild ride, and honestly, sharing this part of my life with you all has helped me process things in ways I didn't expect. Your support, your comments, and even just reading this has meant a lot more than I can express. This isn't just my story anymore, it's something we can all learn from. It's proof that no matter how messy things get, there's always a way forward. And if my experience can help even one of you make a tough decision or find the courage to move on, then sharing it has been worth it. Now, I'm diving deeper into this journey, and I'd love for you to come along. Your thoughts, feedback, and stories are the fuel that'll keep this going. So, if you're ready to keep digging into what comes next, whether it's finding out what happens with Jess, the aftermath of the fallout, or just how life gets better after all the chaos, stick around. Let's see where this road leads. You're not alone in this, and I'm glad we're walking through it together. I never thought this would be me, standing on the brink of everything I thought I knew about love, trust, and loyalty. But when I caught her, I didn't react the way most people might have. I didn't cry, beg, or even raise my voice. I plotted, I waited, and I executed. And now she's begging. But it's too late. For context, let me backtrack a bit. My name is Leo, 30, a software engineer. I had been with Rachel for 5 years. We met through work, we both started at a tech firm around the same time. She was intelligent, ambitious, and absolutely beautiful, so, naturally, I was drawn to her. We clicked instantly, and after a couple of years of dating, we moved in together. At first, things were perfect. We shared everything: groceries, rent, even the remote control. We talked about our future, about getting married, about kids. All the things a couple would discuss when they think they've found their person. We had our routines, and while work sometimes got in the way, nothing ever seemed off. Rachel was a marketing manager, and her job involved a lot of late nights at events and networking parties, while I was busy coding and attending meetings. It wasn't unusual for us to miss each other during the week. We had different schedules but always managed to spend weekends together. At least, that's what I thought. About 4 months ago, Rachel told me she was going out for drinks with her colleagues. Nothing out of the ordinary. The next day, she was more distant than usual, and that evening, she seemed distracted, like her mind wasn't fully present. I dismissed it at first. But then things started feeling off. She started spending more time with a new colleague, an older guy named Daniel. He was suave, well-spoken, and always seemed to be around when Rachel wasn't at home. I didn't say anything at first, thinking I was being paranoid. But deep down, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. The turning point came last week. I came home early one evening and saw Rachel's phone on the counter, flashing with a message. I didn't mean to look, but the words jumped out at me: "I'll see you tonight. Can't wait for another one of those special nights." It was from Daniel. I was shocked. But instead of confronting her right then and there, I took a step back. I knew I wasn't the type to react impulsively. I started making my own plans quietly, without letting her know what I was doing. I didn't have to wait long. 2 days later, I followed her when she said she was heading out to meet friends. I was right behind her when I saw her get into Daniel's car. The truth hit me like a ton of bricks. She had been lying to me for months. I didn't storm up to her that night. Instead, I set things in motion. Over the next few weeks, I gathered evidence. Emails. Bank transactions. Screenshots. And then I did what I had to do. I walked away, got a lawyer, and filed for divorce. When she found out, she was devastated. She cried, begged me to reconsider, told me I was overreacting. But the truth was out. It wasn't just her betrayal. It was the emotional toll she'd placed on me. Now she's trying to fix things. She's apologizing, calling me constantly, but it's too little, too late. I've moved on. The satisfaction of taking control and walking away was all the closure I needed. As for her, well, Rachel is now stuck with the mess she created, and I'm finally free. I had to call out Daniel a couple of times, which was kind of amusing, but what really caught my attention was how Daniel and Rachel interacted. There was nothing overtly flirtatious, but there was this strange energy between them. He'd crack these inside jokes that only she seemed to get. They'd do this thing where they'd finish each other's sentences, as if they shared some secret language. At one point, he put his hand on her shoulder when he got up to use the bathroom, and the touch lingered just a bit too long for my liking. It was small stuff, things that most people probably wouldn't notice, but it felt off to me. After we left the restaurant, I casually asked Rachel how she and Daniel had gotten so close. "Oh, he's just been around forever through Kelly," she replied. "Plus, we've all hung out tons of times over the years." That explanation made sense, but something still didn't sit right with me. Over the next few weeks, Rachel started talking about Kelly and Daniel a lot more. How Kelly and Daniel had this perfect marriage, how Daniel was so successful and always cracking jokes that made everyone laugh. I just nodded along, but my mind kept going back to that lunch. The way Daniel treated Kelly like she wasn't even in the room half the time. There was no way their marriage was perfect. What was crazy was how quickly everything changed after that lunch. Suddenly, Rachel was working late more often. Girls' nights with Kelly and Jess went from once a month to happening twice a week. And sometimes Daniel would show up too, which made zero sense for a girls' night. Apparently, Kelly didn't like driving at night, or Daniel was already downtown for work, so he just joined in. Whatever. But then Rachel started acting weird about her phone. We'd always been pretty open about our phones never snooping, but no need to hide anything. But then one day, Rachel started taking her phone to the bathroom. When I'd walk by, she'd turn it face down. She even changed her password. All the classic red flags, right? But I didn't want to be that insecure boyfriend, accusing her of something without any proof. I'd been there before in past relationships, and it never ended well. So, I shoved down my suspicions and tried to act normal. But then, one night around midnight, my phone buzzed. It was a text from Jess, who I'd only talked to one-on-one a couple of times. All it said was, "I think you should know something about," and then nothing. The text disappeared before I could even open it fully. I tried to message her back, "Hey, what's up? Did you mean to text me?" But she never responded. The next morning at breakfast, I casually mentioned to Rachel that Jess had texted me. Should have seen her face. Rachel literally froze mid-bite for a split second when I mentioned Jess had texted me, then she laughed it off and said, "Jess probably texted you by accident." But the way she said it, the way she instantly turned to something else, made it clear she was way too interested in exactly what Jess had said. I played dumb, but inside I was thinking, oh shit, something's definitely up. Over the next couple of weeks, more weird shit kept happening. Rachel would leave the room to take calls, never explaining who they were from. She'd tell me she was meeting Kelly for coffee, but when I'd casually ask how Kelly was doing later, Rachel would get the details wrong or seem confused for a moment before giving me an answer. Then Jess reached out again. This time, she actually called me while I was at work. "Hey, this is awkward," she said, her voice shaky. "But maybe pay more attention to what's happening around you." I can't say more than that. I'm sorry. I was completely confused. When I pressed her to explain, she just said, "I've already risked enough. Just keep your eyes open. You seem like a good guy. You deserve better." I hung up feeling like I was stuck in some low-budget drama. Jess had definitely dropped something big, but I couldn't make sense of it. I also know how girls can go after each other when things get messy, so maybe Jess was just trying to stir the pot. But something about the whole vibe melted off. I couldn't ignore it anymore. After that weird call, I started paying way more attention to everything. Not in a crazy stalker way, but I just stopped brushing off the obvious shit that was right in front of my face. Looking back, I can't believe how blind I had been. The signs were so fucking obvious. First off, Rachel's schedule suddenly became unpredictable. She had been at the same marketing job for years, with pretty standard hours. But now, it seemed like she was constantly texting me that she'd be working late or had emergency client meetings that just happened to pop up last minute. Sometimes she'd come home smelling different. Not just like alcohol from happy hour, but like she'd used a different soap or shampoo. Other times, her makeup was touched up but slightly different than how she'd done it in the morning. Her phone became her most prized possession. The girl who used to leave her phone just lying around anywhere was suddenly taking it with her to the bathroom, keeping it face down, and I even caught her deleting text conversations a couple of times when I walked up behind her. But the biggest red flag was how she started picking fights over nothing. She'd blow up about me leaving dishes in the sink or not texting her enough during the day, stupid shit that never bothered her before. She was trying to make me the bad guy. A classic cheater move, right? Trying to make your partner out to be the asshole so you can justify what you're doing. So, I started keeping track of everything. Not in a creepy way, like writing it down in a journal, but just mentally noting the patterns. And there was definitely a pattern. Most of Rachel's late nights were Thursdays, and she was always extra distant the day after. I started paying more attention to what she said about Daniel and Kelly. She dropped Daniel's name into conversations for no reason. Daniel says this restaurant has the best steak in the city, or Daniel was telling me about this new workout routine. Why the hell was she having all these private conversations with Kelly's husband? Meanwhile, she talked about Kelly less and less. About 2 weeks after Jess called me, I ran into her at the grocery store. It was totally random. I was grabbing soda, and she was in the same aisle. She looked like she'd seen a ghost when she spotted me. We did the usual awkward "hey, how's it going?" small talk, but then she pulled me aside by the freezer section. "Have you noticed anything?" she asked, looking around like we were in some spy movie. I just nodded. I didn't want to say too much, in case she was just fishing for information. "Kelly has no idea," she said quietly. I tried to hint to her that something was off with Daniel, but she shut me down completely. Called me jealous because I'm single. "We barely talk now. Why are you telling me this?" I asked her. "Why not just tell me straight up what's going on?" Jess looked genuinely torn. "They're both my friends, and so is Kelly. I'm stuck in the middle of this shit show. But you seem like a decent guy, and what they're doing is messed up." She wouldn't give me specifics. Just said she'd seen enough to know it wasn't innocent, and that it had been going on at least since before that lunch, maybe longer. Then, an old lady wanted to get into the freezer we were standing in front of, so we moved, and the moment was gone. Jess just said, "Keep your eyes open again," and took off. That night, when Rachel got home late, of course I almost confronted her. I almost laid out all the evidence and suspicions I had. But some part of me knew I needed actual proof. Not just for her to deny it, but for myself, and honestly, for what I was planning to do afterward. So I played it cool for another week. Pretended nothing was wrong. I even suggested we have Daniel and Kelly over for dinner sometime, just to see her reaction. She got super flustered and made up some excuse about them being really busy with family stuff right now. Yeah, sure. I decided to set a trap. I told her I had a big client meeting the following Thursday, that it would probably run late. "Don't wait up for me. Might be midnight before I'm home," I said. She tried to look disappointed, but I could practically see the wheels turning in her head, planning her Thursday night without me. That whole week was torture. Sleeping next to someone you're pretty sure is cheating on you, acting like everything's normal, making her coffee in the morning, kissing her goodbye, texting during the day about normal stuff like what's for dinner or if I remembered to pay the electric bill while knowing Thursday was coming. Thursday morning, I left for work like usual. Told Rachel again about my late meeting, and she played the perfect supportive girlfriend. Don't work too hard, babe. I'll probably just have a quiet night in. Yeah, right. I went to work but told my boss I needed to leave early for a personal emergency. He's a good guy, didn't ask questions. So by 3 p.m., I was in my car heading home, stopping to pick up her favorite sushi on the way. Not because I thought we'd be having a nice dinner, but because I wanted the full fucking dramatic irony of the situation. As I parked outside our apartment, I saw a car I recognized. The same BMW Daniel had been driving at our lunch. It was parked 2 spots down from my usual space. I sat in my car staring at Daniel's BMW, holding a bag of expensive sushi that was getting warmer by the minute. For like 2 solid minutes, I just sat there, not even sure what to do. Part of me wanted to just drive away, pretend I never came home early, go crash at a buddy's place, and deal with this shit later. Would have been easier, right? But nah, I'd spent weeks seeing the signs, ignoring my gut, making excuses for Rachel's behavior. I needed to see it with my own eyes. I needed that closure, or whatever you want to call it. So I grabbed my phone, made sure it had enough storage, since videos take up a lot of space, and walked up to our apartment. I used my key to get in as quietly as possible. As soon as I opened the door, I heard those sounds coming from our bedroom. You know exactly what I'm talking about. For a second, I felt like I was gonna puke right there in the entryway. I dropped the sushi bag on the counter and took a deep breath. Then I pulled out my phone, opened the camera app, and hit record. Call it instinct or whatever, but some part of my brain was already thinking ahead. I needed evidence not just for me to know I wasn't crazy, but for what would come later. Walking down that hallway to our bedroom door felt like it took forever. Each step, I was thinking, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's just the TV. Maybe it's not what I think. But deep down, I knew. I fucking knew. I pushed the bedroom door open, still recording, and boom. There they were, in our bed. The bed I'd helped Rachel pick out at IKEA. The bed I'd spent 4 hours assembling while she sat there reading me the instructions. They didn't even notice me at first. They were so caught up in their little world, they didn't hear the door open. For a few seconds, I just stood there, recording. I wanted to make sure I got their faces clearly on video. I wanted to capture the whole scene, so there could be no denying it later. Finally, I cleared my throat. Almost threw up. And holy shit, you should have seen their faces. First shock, then Daniel's panic, and Rachel's annoyance. Not guilt, not shame, not even embarrassment. She looked fucking annoyed, like I'd interrupted her favorite TV show or something. What happened next is kind of a blur. Daniel scrambled off her, grabbing for his clothes, mumbling some bullshit. Rachel pulled the sheet up to cover herself but didn't say anything at first. She just glared at me, like I was the one who'd done something wrong by coming home to my own apartment. I kept recording the whole time, which seemed to piss her off even more. She started yelling at me to stop filming, to delete the video, that I had no right. I ignored her and asked how long it had been going on. She literally looked me dead in the eyes and hit me with the line, "It was just once, get over it." Said I was always working late, so what did I expect? Like it was somehow my fault she decided to sleep with her best friend's husband in our bed. I told Daniel to get out, and to his credit, the dude moved fast. Grabbed his stuff and was out of there in about 30 seconds flat, still buttoning his shirt as he pushed past me. I stepped aside to let him go. I wasn't about to get into a physical fight over this shit. He wasn't worth an assault charge. Once Daniel was gone, Rachel switched tactics. Suddenly, it was a mistake, and it didn't mean anything, and all that classic cheater bullshit. When I just stood there, still recording, not saying much, she got defensive again. Started bringing up minor shit from months ago, like how I forgot her mom's birthday, or how I sometimes leave dirty dishes in the sink. As if forgetting to wash a coffee mug is the same as letting another dude rail you in our bed. I finally stopped recording and just looked at her for a minute, waiting for her to realize how ridiculous she sounded. I asked her if Kelly knew. She didn't answer, which was answer enough. And then she said something I'll never forget. With this smug little smirk on her face, she hit me with, "Well, maybe you should know. He's better in bed anyway." That was it. Game over. In that moment, any tiny bit of love I still had for her died instantly. She didn't just cheat, she wanted to hurt me. Wanted to twist the knife. That's when I knew she was actually a terrible fucking person, and I'd been blind to it for years. I didn't yell, didn't give her the reaction she was looking for. I just nodded, turned around, and walked out. Grabbed my laptop, wallet, and car keys on my way to the door. She followed me, suddenly changing her tune, asking where I was going, telling me not to be so dramatic. I didn't answer, just closed the door behind me and walked to my car. But I didn't leave right away. I sat there, hands shaking a bit, and thought about what to do with that video. The old me would have just deleted it, tried to be the bigger person or whatever. Fuck that. The old me died when I opened that bedroom door. So I did the first nuclear thing. I pulled up the group chat Rachel had with all her girlfriends, including Kelly and Jess. This was a chat she'd shown me before, like 10 women who all went to college together. I found it in her social media, which she was still logged into on my phone. Genius move, right? I sent the video to all of them, with a simple message, "Thought you all should know what kind of friend you have. Kelly, I'm especially sorry you had to find out this way." I knew they'd eat up the drama and talk about it for the next 7 months. Then I blocked Rachel's number, turned off notifications, and drove to my buddy Dave's place. I didn't call ahead, just showed up at his door looking like death. Dave's a real one. Took one look at me, pulled me inside, and said, "Spill it." So I did. Told him everything. He didn't interrupt, just let me get it all out. Then offered me his couch for as long as I needed it. I spent that night staring at the ceiling, thinking about everything I gave over the last 4 years. All the trust, the support, the time I poured into the relationship, and every time I questioned something that felt off, she'd twist it, make me feel paranoid or insecure. Like I was the problem for not trusting her enough. All those girls' nights that, looking back, probably weren't what she said they were. It's wild how the full picture only comes together when it's already too late. The next morning, I woke up with this weird sense of clarity, like I knew exactly what I needed to do. Step by step, no emotion, no hesitation. Dave had already left for work, left a note saying, "Fridge is stocked, Wi-Fi password on the counter, stay as long as you need, bro." I pulled out my phone for the first time since the night before. Had to turn it back on first since I'd powered it down. As soon as it booted up, the notifications started flooding in, but I didn't read or listen to any of them. I had shit to do. I called into work and asked for a personal day. My boss is pretty chill. When I said I was dealing with some heavy personal shit, he didn't even hesitate. "Take care of yourself, man. The office will still be here tomorrow." Then I called our landlord. This is where Rachel fucked up big time from the start. The apartment was in my name only. When we moved in together 2 years ago, Rachel's credit was absolute garbage from some student loan mess she never handled properly. So I'm the only one on the lease, I'm the only one responsible for rent, and I'm the only one with any actual rights to the place. I explained the situation to the landlord, didn't go into all the messy details, just said that Rachel and I had broken up and I'd be moving out. He was actually pretty cool about it. "These things happen, son," he said, sounding like he'd been through a few divorces himself. "Let me know what you want to do with the lease. Here's where it gets good." I didn't just call to chat, I gave notice to terminate the lease early. Our agreement had a clause about breaking the lease for a fee equal to 1 month's rent. I paid it right then over the phone with my credit card. The landlord said he'd send over the paperwork and that we'd have 30 days to vacate. But I made sure he understood that while my name was on the lease, Rachel would be the one trying to stay. He said he'd leave a formal notice on the door that day so there'd be no confusion about the timeline. Rachel would have 30 days to either sign a new lease in her own name or get the fuck out. After that, I called all the utility companies: electric, water, internet, everything. All in my name, all paid from my bank account automatically each month. And I didn't just pause service or transfer it to her name. Nope. I closed every single account completely. Service would stop that day for all of them. By noon, I went to the bank. We didn't have joint accounts, thank God, but Rachel was an authorized user on my credit card. You know, for emergencies or whatever. I called the card company right there in the bank parking lot and had her removed. The customer service guy asked if I wanted to report the card stolen, so they'd issue me a new number. Not necessary, I told him. I just need her cut off immediately. While I was feeling productive, I went through my phone and took screenshots of everything. All the texts from Jess trying to warn me. All the obvious lies from Rachel over the past few months. And, of course, screenshots from the video I took. I emailed them all to myself as backup and put them in a special folder on my phone. Evidence secured. I spent the rest of the afternoon at a coffee shop, still ignoring the flood of calls and texts from Rachel. She'd gone from angry "how dare you film us," to panicked "please call me back, we need to talk," to begging "I'm so sorry, it was a mistake, please come home." I didn't respond to any of it. Around 4 p.m., I got a text from Kelly, of all people. "Can we meet? I need to talk to you." I agreed and suggested a bar near Dave's place. She was already there when I arrived, looking like absolute hell. Eyes red and puffy, hair pulled back in a messy ponytail, wearing sweats and a hoodie like she'd just grabbed whatever was closest. We got a table in the back corner. For a minute, she just stared at her drink, not saying anything. Finally, she looked up and said, "Thank you for sending that video. I know it must have been hard." Turns out, Kelly had suspected something was going on with Daniel for months but had no proof. She'd noticed the late nights, the protective phone behavior, all the same signs I'd seen with Rachel. But every time she brought it up, Daniel would make her feel crazy and paranoid. Classic gaslighting shit. Jess tried to tell me too, Kelly admitted. She saw them together at a restaurant across town about a month ago. I accused her of making it up because she's jealous of my marriage. God, I was so stupid. I showed Kelly the texts from Jess trying to warn me. Kelly looked like she might start crying again. She really tried to tell both of us. And we both shut her down. Before I left, Kelly and I made a plan. She was done being the doormat wife, and I was done being the clueless boyfriend. We exchanged numbers and promised to keep each other updated on what was happening on both fronts. That evening, around 6 p.m., I drove back to the apartment, knowing Rachel would be at her Thursday yoga class. It was the one consistent thing in her schedule. I gave myself 30 minutes to pack my essential stuff and get out. It felt weird being back there so soon after catching them. The bed was made of course, she'd cleaned up, but I couldn't even look at the bedroom. I just grabbed a suitcase and threw in clothes, toiletries, important documents, my gaming console, and a few sentimental items I didn't want her to destroy when she inevitably lost her shit. I was out in 25 minutes flat. I left my key on the counter with a note. Lease ends in 30 days. Utilities disconnected. Get over it and do not contact me. I was just pulling away when I saw her car turning into the lot. For a second, our eyes met through the windshields. The look on her face, confusion quickly turning to panic, almost made me stop. But I just drove off. The next morning, I woke up to 43 emails from Rachel, going from anger to panic to straight up begging. Apparently, she'd tried to shower but found the water shut off. Tried to watch Netflix but the internet was gone. Tried to order food, but her card was declined since it was actually my credit card she'd been using this whole time. While all this was going down, Kelly was executing her own plan. She contacted HR at the company where Daniel and Rachel both worked. Yeah, they worked together too. Shocked, and she never told me about that. Turns out the company has a strict policy about workplace relationships, especially between supervisors and subordinates, which was exactly what Daniel and Rachel were. Kelly showed HR the video, with intimate parts blurred, and provided evidence of them using company time and resources for their affair. They'd been booking conference rooms for their little sessions and using company events as cover to meet up. Both Daniel and Rachel were put on administrative leave pending investigation. Kelly also filed for divorce, naming Rachel specifically in the filing. Dave's been awesome through all this. When I told him I planned to nuke Rachel's entire life, he just nodded and said, "Remind me never to piss you off, bro." He even helped me start apartment hunting online, sending me listings during his lunch break at work. About a week after everything, things were getting back to normal until Rachel blew up my phone again with angry texts. Apparently, she found the notice, and she completely lost her shit. Stormed down to the leasing office in tears, only to discover that not only was the lease definitely ending in 30 days, but her credit score and income weren't enough to qualify for the apartment on her own. They need someone making like 3 times the monthly rent, and she's not even close. Apparently, Kelly ran into Rachel at the leasing office. Yeah, I heard about it the same day. Turns out the drama traveled fast. Kelly wasn't there to play nice. She walked straight up to Rachel and asked, "How long have you been screwing my husband?" And Rachel tried that classic cheater move, acting confused, like she didn't know what Kelly was talking about, telling her, "It's just a misunderstanding." Like she didn't know about that video being forwarded around the globe. Like women don't have a sixth sense for lying and betrayal. Please, you'd think after all those secret hookups, Rachel would have at least prepped a better defense. But nah, she stammered, mumbled something about how it just happened, and Kelly shut that down real quick. "Oh, so my fault, right? For trusting you? For trusting him? Classic. You're not sorry you did it. You're just sorry you got caught." That's the thing with Rachel. When she's red-handed, she flips the script, tries to gaslight, cry, and blame everyone but herself. Anyway, Kelly ended it like a boss, tossed the lease termination notice at her, and said, "Good luck figuring it out," and walked out. I found out about it later when Kelly shot me a text saying, "It was the most satisfying 5 minutes of my life." I bet it was. Meanwhile, Rachel was probably still standing there, stunned, wondering why the universe wasn't bending over to fix her mess. The utility situation is even better. Rachel thought I'd just temporarily disconnected everything out of spite or whatever. Nope. I closed all the accounts completely. To get services back, she'd need to open brand new accounts in her name, pay all the deposits and setup fees, and wait for installation appointments. Based on her desperate texts, she doesn't have the funds for all those deposits right now. I know all this shit. Because 3 days into my radio silence, Rachel showed up at my fucking office, just walked right in and asked for me at reception. My receptionist immediately texted me a heads up before sending anyone back. I told her to say I was in a meeting and couldn't be disturbed. Rachel wasn't having it, said it was an emergency, and she'd wait. After 20 minutes of her sitting in our lobby, getting more and more agitated, our office manager had to ask her to leave. She refused, started raising her voice, saying she just needed 5 minutes with me. That's when security got called. As they were escorting her out, she completely lost it, started screaming about how I'd ruined her life over one mistake, and that I was a vindictive asshole for telling Kelly about the affair. One of my coworkers recorded the whole meltdown on his phone and showed me later. It was both satisfying and embarrassing as hell to watch. Of course, the video circled around for days. Yesterday, all hell broke loose. Rachel called me 19 times in 2 hours. When I finally answered, mostly to make the phone stop buzzing, she was completely hysterical. Daniel's being transferred to the Austin office. They were going to promote me to his position. But now HR is investigating both of us. I could lose my job. Are you happy now? Is this what you wanted? I didn't want any of this, I replied. You made your choices. She broke down then, crying about how sorry she was, how she'd do anything to take it back. I can't afford the apartment on my own, she sobbed. My parents won't help me. I have nowhere to go. That sounds like a huge problem, I said, and hung up. This morning, I got an email with the subject line, what I'm going to do. It was just a list of demands. I need to move back in and pay the rent while she finds a new place. I need to turn utilities back on. I need to give her access to her credit card again. I need to tell Kelly it was all a misunderstanding. I need to talk to her boss and explain she made a mistake. The audacity. After everything she did, she still thought I owed her, that I should help clean up the mess she created. Not a chance. I didn't respond, and I haven't for 2 months now. Honestly, I don't plan to. A lot has changed since then, and for the most part, it's been for the better. I landed that promotion at work I'd been grinding for. The new apartment is starting to feel like home too. I set up a little home office in the corner of the living room, and for once, I'm cooking real meals instead of just surviving on takeout. It feels good. Simple, but good. Ever since Rachel sent that pathetic list of demands, it's been radio silence. 3 weeks of nothing. It's been peaceful, and I started to focus on my life and move on. Then one day, an email popped up. Subject line? Closure. Cute. Almost deleted it without reading, but figured I'd skim it for entertainment. It was an apology, or her attempt at one. Some weak confession about realizing the damage she'd done. Good for her, I guess. But it didn't matter. Not to me. I didn't reply. She doesn't even deserve closure. Let her sit with that. I've heard bits and pieces from mutual friends. Apparently, she's still crashing at her sister's place, scrambling for some job in another city. Daniel tried crawling back to Kelly, but she slammed that door shut and went through with the divorce. Me? I've been dating. Keeping it casual, nothing serious. A few first dates, most were forgettable. But last weekend? I met up with Jess. Yeah, that Jess. The one who tried to warn me. Wasn't even supposed to be a date, just drinks to catch up. We ended up talking for hours. She apologized again for not being more direct back then. I told her it was whatever. She was in a tough spot. Stuck between people. Didn't know how to handle it. One drink turned into dinner, which turned into walking around downtown until midnight. Just talking about life and how much better it is when you cut toxic people out. And yeah, there's definitely something there. She's sharp, funny, real. No games, no drama. Just straight up honesty. It's easy. It's solid. We're taking it slow, but it feels right. But because karma has a sick sense of humor, it didn't end there. Turns out, Rachel found out that Jess and I had been seeing each other. How? Who knows? Maybe one of her spy minions. Maybe she just connected the dots. Either way, she lost her damn mind. Started blowing up Jess's phone, sending her these pathetic, bitter texts like, "You're a backstabbing bitch, and he'll leave you too once he's bored." Real original, right? She even took it a step further, showing up at Jess's gym, trying to corner her in the parking lot like some low-budget villain. Jess shut it down fast, told her if she didn't back off, "I'll help you get a restraining order gift wrapped with your name on it." That must have stung, because Rachel's been quiet ever since. Funny how the tough act crumbles when someone isn't scared of her drama. Guess Jess was the one friend Rachel shouldn't have underestimated. To everyone who stuck around for this chaos, appreciate it. Your comments were a reminder that walking away wasn't just the right call. It was the only call. Life moves on, and mine's looking better every damn day. And for those asking, yeah, things with Jess are getting serious. And it feels good. No second guessing. No looking back. And to anyone thinking I was too harsh? Nah. Sometimes you have to go nuclear. Her face when she realized I wasn't coming to save her. Priceless. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Hey, I'm sure some of you can relate to the chaos I've been through, or maybe you've watched others go through it. Life can throw some pretty wild curveballs, and sometimes the only thing we can control is how we react. That's why I want to hear from you, whether it's advice, your own experiences, or just your thoughts on what I went through. Drop a comment below and let me know your take on what happened. Trust me, it helps to know that others have been through similar situations, and maybe we can all learn something from each other. If you're going through something tough right now, remember you don't have to settle for drama or toxicity in your life. It's okay to walk away from people who don't respect you, even if they've been around for years. The people who are meant for you will show up when you make room for them, and they'll be the ones who support you, not tear you down. Life doesn't get easier by staying in situations that drain you. It gets better when you make the hard decisions to cut out the bad and make space for what's good. Take this advice from me: don't let anyone make you feel like you owe them a second chance if they've already burned you. You've got to put yourself first. The only person you're guaranteed to have your back forever is you. So, get real with yourself. What do you want? And don't let anyone's baggage or mistakes weigh you down. You're capable of so much more than you think, and you've got the power to move forward. Life's too short to settle for anything less than the best, so go out and make that happen for yourself.